Devin, you're far too serious for this call. What's happening?
I'm literally coming up with what I'm gonna say.
Okay. Hey guys, we get a lot of questions, I do anyway, from my clients and different people I chat with about sort of the do's and don'ts of marketing, different aspects. So let's cover a few of those today. In my corner, I'm thinking webinars, right? What are the do's and don'ts of a webinar? And is it important to have as part of your marketing mix and blah, blah, blah? Because I think people thought, webinars kind of went by the wayside after COVID, but actually it's the opposite. And they are, a huge part in the marketing mix. So some of the things I think about when someone wants to do a webinar, right, is choose a good topic, guys. Like there's, obviously there's things you have to cover, but you can make fun of it or come up with a clever title. I mean, we're doing one soon on smishing, which we all laughed at that, but you can have fun, right? You can be punny, Devin, the king of puns down there. And so have fun with the content, have fun with the topic, you
Yeah.
know?
The fun names really make a difference. And we've done a few on AI, which is such a trendy topic. So people are always drawn to the fun names and the fun topics.
For sure. And I think it's compelling, right? They want to come, even if it's kind of, because let's be honest, AI is huge right now, smishing's huge right now. So it's beneficial for them to attend. I also think, determining the right day or the right time, the right audience. I mean, you could have a giant prospect list, but don't go after everybody. I don't know that, everybody should be there necessarily. And the good news is the webinar is not a once and done, right? We chop it up, we send it out on social via topic or like headline or discussion within that webinar. We put the whole thing on their website. So there's lots of afterlife, if you will, to the day of. Anyway, any experience you guys want to add there? Devin, Taylor?
So I think the biggest misconception with webinars is that they have to be boring and salesy. They can be fun, they can be entertaining, and they shouldn't be salesy. They should be more educational and informative. And then at the end of the webinar is when you can kind of start sneaking in your company and providing how your company solves the issues that you talked about in the webinar.
Absolutely. Have a great call to action at the end, for sure. That's a huge one, actually, Taylor. Because I think the natural state of people we deal with, they're all like, they want to sell the product. They want to tell them about everything they've got going on. And you're going to lose people. And honestly, we've had great success with our clients who've done them because we coach them to make it educational and bring people on, right? And have a fun like group of panelists that are talking about different things. Change it up, have some gamification, have some polls, get your clients engaged. I know we're kind of jumping around here, but that's exactly it. Change it up, make it educational, make it fun.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor and I just watched a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and they played bingo. So each webinar attendee had a bingo card, and every time something on the card was mentioned, they crossed it off, and at the end, you could win something if you got a bingo. So just adding like a fun component sets your webinar apart, and it doesn't make it so that people are just sitting there listening to someone for an hour. They have some sort of interactive component to it.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. And I mean, there's, depending on what platform you use, there's all kinds of options in there to play games and do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I love that. Also, one of the other things is, if we're talking about don't ignore the technical stuff because it's huge, right? Make sure all the people know to have, their phones turned off and their internet, functioning properly and the proper lighting, because anything that's distracting throws people off. So that's a don't for me is don't, not double negative, have a rehearsal or a run through, and avoid those technical things. Also, don't make it too long. People have a short attention span, so really capture what you want to capture in 30 to 45 minutes, including some games, including some polls, including some good question, and answer time, et cetera, et cetera. So
what are your thoughts about leads and webinars?
yeah, bingo, that's the great. big question, right? So one of the stats is 20 to 40% of webinar audiences become qualified leads. I mean, that's huge. That is monster is the source of that, in case anyone's concerned about that. So yeah, to go back to my earlier statement, that they should be a huge part of your marketing mix, because it allows you to, like you said, when there's a good call to action at the end, right? You get booked appointments, or you get people wanting more information. And then it also allows you to reach out to these people and nurture that relationship. So it's a huge thing for leads.
Mhm.
I highly recommend them.
And even though leads are such an important part, and all of our clients always do get leads, webinars also allow them to become thought leaders and establish themselves as credible in the topic that they're speaking about. So I think that's also a really important part about webinars for all of our clients.
Absolutely. And once they get over, the first time jitters of doing one and what's involved in it and how much we will hold their hand through it and make it work for them, they just want to do them all the time, because like you say, great success with them, and they are seen as thought leaders in the industry. So Dev, one of the things I know we chatted about even before this was, moving on to another topic, was website navigation. And one of the things I was saying is I was on somebody's website trying to find something, and the menu that was on my mobile device versus the menu on the desktop were completely different. And so irritating, annoying, I had to go to a desktop and figure it out so I could, get what I needed. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so navigation do's and don'ts. So, I think it's probably one of the most underrated and arguably one of the most important parts on any website.
Mhm.
Because basically with the menu, you're telling people what are the most important pages on the site that you want to get them to. And not only are you telling the people that, but you're also letting Google know, hey, these pages here are the most important pages on my site. So in doing so, if you're planning out a project or you're looking to restructure your current site, one of the most important things to do is to have a solid plan around that navigation, starting with a sitemap. There's tons of cool tools out there to help you kind of, collaborate with your team members and stuff like that,
Mm.
to kind of get those down to kind of the core buckets. So, if you think about it, if you can understand, who you're trying to target, your users,
Mm.
try and figure out the journey of why are they coming to your site? What are they going to be looking for? And if you can map the pages around that to amplify the journey that they have on their site, you're going to have much better with converting leads into sales, whatever your website's looking to do. With any navigation, generally, there's three main areas of it. You've got your logo of the website or the business that it's representing. You've got the navigation itself, and then generally there'll be a button to convert. To people get started, go to a shopping cart, etc. Some larger sites will have the search right in there, so that's also good for user engagement to try and get them to go through the funnel on your website. So some things you want to look for and make sure you include on your website is make sure it's clean, it's easy to use. Everybody's been on a site before.
Hmm.
You move the mouse 1 pixel, boom, you've just lost your place, and multi-layer navigation.
Mhm.
Super frustrating. If you're frustrated, I guarantee others are the same. With the menu names, try and use simple terms that users are going to get. Nothing, no industry jargon that, only you and the people in your company understand.
Mhm.
Or, you're not going to see much activity there.
So avoid acronyms.
Yeah, acronyms, anything like that. User
Yeah.
friendly. And if there's lots of pages, instead of having a just massive drop down, when you hover over one, there's something called mega menu out there,
Mm.
which allows you to kind of categorize and style things out a little more visually for the users. And there's stats indicating that sites that have used mega menu over just standard drop down do have higher conversion rates.
Hmm.
So there is a little method to the madness there. And another tip would be to just, if you can, keep that menu on the screen as much as possible. Sticky navigation or sticky menu is very popular right now, so it'll always be along the top. You know, maybe if you're scrolling down, it'll disappear until you go to scroll up again. It's just really good from a user experience standpoint, helping people navigate your site.
Cool. I agree. There's nothing more frustrating, like you said, move a pixel and you're off the page, especially when you're shopping
Nowhere. Yeah.
for important things.
What about, mobile menus, Devin? I know that we were discussing earlier how when you look at the navigation on your phone, sometimes it doesn't even work the same way it's intended to. So what are some things in terms of mobile optimization?
Mhm.
Yeah, so whether you're designing your site yourself or marketing agencies doing it for you, you always want to make sure your menus are responsive. So they work on the desktop and then on a tablet as well as mobile devices. So, with how it is today, traffic's a huge portion of what makes up the analytics for sites. So if your site isn't set up and ready for mobile, there's a good chance you're going to lose a lot of business, a lot of users, just from that one missed opportunity.
Yeah,
So,
I think a
oh,
lot
sorry.
of B2B companies kind of overlook the importance of mobile friendliness, but even with a lot of our customers, at least half of their traffic is mobile users or people clicking a link on LinkedIn, and then they're coming to the website to keep learning.
Mhm.
And it's also important to consider for SEO purposes that if your website and navigation is not optimized for mobile, then it can push your website down in rankings.
Yeah, good point.
Good point, yeah.
What would you tell somebody that says, okay, so how do I know whether it's responsive between the three different things, the tablet, the desktop, the mobile? Like, how do I know that? And what do I need to ask for? Because let's be honest, not everybody knows all the ins and outs, right?
Yeah, the easiest and simplest way is literally just to hop on your phone, go through it right on your phone so you can see, or your tablet. Desktops, depending on what browser you're using, you can use the code inspector to flip between mobile devices and tablets. Handy tool to use as well if you're comfortable with that. Yeah, definitely check all those out.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, cool. All right. What about you, Safina? What are you doing and don'ting?
My do and don't, or I guess rather don't. Well, I know a lot of marketers, or I guess non-marketers,
Mhm.
they think that demand generation is not as important as lead generation. So the difference is, I guess, well, demand generation is more about awareness. So it brings new prospects into the buying process and gets them interested and aware about your brand, while lead generation targets prospects that already are familiar with your brand and nurtures them for sales conversations. So a lot of businesses will want to skip the demand generation part and go directly to lead gen because obviously that's what gets them closer to sales and revenue. But people forget that lead generation is a short-term game, whereas demand generation builds brand credibility, trust, and it's more of a long-term strategy.
Like lead gen, like webinars, back to my corner.
Well, I guess webinars are a bit of both. They
Yeah.
strengthen the
Yeah.
brand, but they're also a lead gen opportunity. So I guess webinars are a bit of both, which is great.
Yeah, for sure.
I found a stat here on Gartner that says that marketers actually invest equally in brand building. So I think it was 50.2% working towards lead gen and 49.8% building on brand awareness. So it's pretty 50-50 in terms of where marketers spend their time. So it shows that both are really important.
So what would you suggest then? So, I'm someone out there hearing, okay, well, don't just focus on one because it's short game and the other's the long game. What sort of would your strategy be? Or like what should someone do to, you know?
I think just focus on both, having a mix of brand building strategies, but then also working down the funnel into lead gen, is really important. So focusing on both. And when we're looking at metrics, looking at them separately is important too. So you know that if your brand building strategies are working, and just looking at those metrics and then separating your lead gen metrics and understanding how those are performing, I think is super important. Sometimes people will just look at, your metrics overall or overarching metrics, and sometimes breaking them down helps show the success of both of those areas.
Well, what do you guys think in terms of like what's something practical a company can do to build their brand?
So I think definitely having a social media presence is important. A lot of B2B companies overlook that, but it's something that helps a lot of our customers seem more friendly and more like people than just a company. Also, building up your blogs and writing more content to get your name out there as a thought leader is really important, and it can help you stand out from your competition.
For sure. I think you touched on something key there, is the social media presence, because I don't know how often I hear this. Oh, well, we don't need to do that. Can't we just go here? And, they want to skip it, or this is fluffy stuff, or this is, but I agree. They need to. Yeah.
The hard thing is that sometimes demand generation doesn't always show, numbers attached to it in terms of revenue, right? Just like you said, the social media, but a lot of times, customers will look at your social media feed for validation and look for some sort of trust within your brand. And that helps them, choose to either purchase with you or not purchase with you. So yeah. And in terms of, I guess, lead gen, Devin, you could probably talk about some on the website, but things like ebooks, like paid advertising, stuff like that would fall under that category. I don't know if you can think of any others.
Yeah, I think just, connecting more with your customers and humanizing your brand, it's going to do wonders versus, the corporate jargon of that other site that you read the site and you have no idea what they're doing other than they've got some business photos on there. It's just, yeah.
It's so true,
Be human, connect with people down to their level. And that's, it's not a big scientific formula. It's just, connect
authenticity, right? It's like you said early on, right? Just be real people. And I don't know what you guys, but when I do KPIs with our clients and we look at their social for the previous month, all of the ones that get the best engagement are their people, their own people. Or they did a fun event in the community, or they put their pet up, or they all wore red t-shirts one day, whatever it is, just be fun and real and authentic, and people will start, following along.
Just to build on Devin's point a little bit about authenticity and showing who your brand is and not being so blah about everything, is using AI generated content in your blogs and your website pages and even your social media. So recently, Google announced a huge core algorithm update. So they are basically removing all content that they deem unhelpful or spammy from search results. So this means thousands of websites have dropped in traffic, and some have even been removed entirely from Google. And this is because they were using AI generated content instead of authentically written human content.
Interesting.
And 100% of the websites that were impacted negatively did have AI generated content. So that's kind of scary for anybody who is leaning on AI to write.
So obviously a big push on making sure that your content is authentic and vetted. If you are using AI at all to assist you, just strengthen it with your own opinions and your own stuff, I guess is what.
Yeah. So generally, because AI content is deemed poor quality and it's always the same sentence structure, I'm sure we've all seen blog articles and social posts that we can easily tell that was not written by a human. This is kind of deemed as not trustworthy for Google and for people reading it as well. So 94% of the time, human written content will outrank AI written content on search results.
Wow.
It kind of goes to show what's the point of putting out this poor quality content when you have the option to leverage human written content and actually get the results that you're looking for.
And be authentic in the process.
Exactly.
I think the rawer the better is really what we're saying, right? As much as we
Mhm.
used to think everything had to be so polished before, I feel like it's completely the opposite now.
Yeah. I feel like ago they wanted us to pump out content and it was more the better, and now we've completely gone backwards, and it's less is better if it's higher quality, right?
100% flipped it right on its head.
Exactly. And I'm not saying AI, like, don't use it at all and that it's awful. I would say use it as a guideline or to help you with your research, and then add in your own expertise, examples, your own personal knowledge and experience to make the content original and to show that you're a thought leader and that you actually have something to say.
So in essence, use it like little thought starters, right? Like you might give you an idea.
Exactly. I would just use it as a brainstorming tool rather than just directly copying and pasting the content.
Yeah. Good
That, or when you're creating AI images of your pet, I think that is AI good put to good use.
Absolutely. Or elf on the shelf.
Yep.
You know, we always say amongst each other that our clients teach us the best things, right? Like they ask us the best questions, we learn by stuff we're doing with them. And so we'd like to do more of these. So if you found this informative, let us know. And if you have any questions or do's and don'ts on any marketing things, just let us know, because we may or may not be able to answer it, but we'll have fun trying. Anyway, thanks guys. Hey guys, I don't know about you, but I'm excited to just, maybe share some do's and don'ts that we've chatted about, that we've chatted amongst ourselves, but I think sometimes, we have custom. Devin's staring at
I didn't know if we started or if it was legit or not.
Hey guys, I know we want to chat about some marketing do's and don'ts today. We get lots of good stuff from our clients, but I think that we've got some positively peachy things to share with you all today.